Hi everybody, welcome to Love Starts in the Kitchen. I'm Angie Jones, and today we're going to be making some Italian meatballs. And I thought that after making the Italian style sauce that's really fast to make, it's like, why not make some meatballs? So that's what we're going to do today. It's really easy, and it turns out so much better than the frozen meatballs that you can get at the store. And also it's more economical, and that's what this is about, making it at home so it tastes better, it's more economical, and you know all the ingredients in it. I mean, here they all are. They're all natural, and there's nothing strange and unpronounceable in it. So let's get started. This is going to be really easy, and I'm going to use my KitchenAid Mix Master only because my hands are a little sore. I have a little bit of arthritis in them, but you can certainly mix it with your hands. I used to do that, but now I kind of rely upon this because it makes it a lot easier and less painful. But I'm going to let this do some of the heavy lifting of kneading it, which is a little painful for me. I'm going to take, this looks like about 1.5 pounds of ground hamburger. We're just going to put that all in there. Let me get all that in there. Okay. And then put that off to the side. And then we're going to put let's put our breadcrumbs in there. I'm going to put about 1 cup. And these were just from the heels, or, like the half pinched off bread. I don't know if you do that sometimes, but we do. You got to have a little taste when you're making dinner. So 1 cup of this. And I just did that in my food processor, so it's just stale bread. I have 1 medium onion, finely chopped. You have to make sure that it's really fine. So either do it by hand really fine, or you can grate it if you don't have a food processor. I put mine through the food processor because it made it easier. Let's do 1 egg. We're just going to literally put everything in here. And you can do this with pretty much any mixer, as long as you kind of have a paddle attachment or something that can handle a big volume of food. I have a 1/4 cup of Romano cheese. I love cheese, it's so good. We have 2 teaspoons of chopped garlic. Okay. I have a 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika, which makes it extra tasty. Oh, no, you got to come all out. I want all of it. And I have some Italian seasoning here. I'm going to put 3 teaspoons in here. And it's just a blend of different Italian herbs. There's 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to take 3 teaspoons of dehydrated dried parsley. I didn't have any fresh on hand, so you can certainly do that with the dried parsley. I like the fresh a little better, but this works in a pinch. So 3 teaspoons of that. And then I have 1 teaspoon of salt and just pepper to taste. And you know my love for crushed red pepper. So here we go. I am going to put 1/4 teaspoon, and I'm going to measure this so I don't make it too hot and too spicy, because then not everybody likes it super spicy. So here we go. I'm going to put 1/4 teaspoon. So we're going to hone it in. And then let's put a 1/2 cup. I'm going to use evaporated milk because that's what I have, but you can use regular milk too. It doesn't really matter. So 1/2 cup of that. We want it to be moist so that way our meatballs are going to be really juicy and nice and not dry. Okay, so I'm going to put this little attachment on here. Whoops, come on. There we go. And put it down into the meat, and hopefully I will get this all not all over. Okay, so I let this mix for about 2 to 3 minutes because I really wanted all the ingredients to incorporate and for the milk to incorporate into the bread, and it's just really melded into the meatballs. So now it's going to be time to roll the meatballs, but we're not going to exactly roll them. We're going to make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to pull this off. We'll scrape down the meat and we'll just start to roll a meatball. There we go. I'll have to take this little guy off. And now we're going to be ready to make the meatballs. Take this out here. Now you can certainly roll it by hand, but I'm not a very good judge of how big to make them, and mine turn out all different sizes. So I have to give myself kind of a little model of how much to make. Otherwise, we have them all different sizes, and that way they don't cook as evenly, because one will be too burnt and the other one will be, a little al dente, and you don't want that with meatballs. So this way you get a really nice uniform size. This one is a little bit smaller than I would like it to be. It's more of a smaller scoop size. So I'm making it filled just a little bit more than, level. But you decide. You can decide whatever size you like to make it. Ooh, there's a big onion chunk. That one's too big. Okay. I guess my food processor didn't chop that up very good. But see, they're mostly the same size here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rest of the meat here. You get the idea of what you should do when you make yours at home. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this. And then I'll meet you back here when the tray's all done. And then I'm going to give you a couple of tips when you're cooking it. So you still need to roll them a little bit, but you don't have to, do excessive rolling. So I'll see you back here in just a few. Okay, so we're almost midway through our tray when our meatball making here. And it really reminds me of our Italian nights that we have on Sunday, because the other day we did something so cool. We made it totally Italian night. We even had an Italian movie, so it was like dinner and a movie with the movie Casino. And we had some really great spaghetti and some meatballs. And it just was I felt so like cool having the Italian movie and the meatballs and the spaghetti. So you might want to try that. But I'll meet you back here in a minute when we're all done. All right, so we're making the final meatball to go on the tray. So that way we can put it in the oven. And I am going to cook it in the oven because I want it to be low fat. And if I fry this on the stove, it's going to gain even more fat because we put the breadcrumbs in it. So I want to keep it as lean as possible, even though we are using ground meat here, beef. You can use turkey, you can use chicken, or you can combine whatever you want. But I just had some ground beef here, so that's what I'm using today. It was on sale, so I picked it up. And so we're going to put it in an oven that's 400 degrees. That's preheated to 400 degrees. And we're going to cook it for about 20 minutes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put these in the oven. Like I said, 400 degrees for 20 minutes. And let them cook. Okay, so we just took out the meatballs and they turned out really great. And sometimes when you're cooking them, they're either really juicy, like if you're using turkey or chicken, and they can exude a lot of juice, and you don't want all that going into the bottom of your oven. So you may have to take a turkey baster and something to put all the juices in and drain it off, so that way they're not coming out soggy and kind of limp, and they don't brown if they've got too much juice in it. So I didn't really have to do that, but I am going to take a little bit of it now, so that way I'm not going to spill it all over the counter as I'm taking these out. So I'm just going to take a little of this stuff, a little of the juices and the fat out. And then I'm going to serve it up on a plate. And I know it's going to be really good. Okay, so we're going to do 2. And then, you know what? I need to grab my sauce from the stove. Okay, so I grabbed my sauce from the stovetop that I heated up because I want to try this. I'm just going to put a little, this is the sauce that we made the other day. You can see it in our channel. Here we go. We have a nice little bit of sauce. And of course, I have to put some cheese on it because that's what makes it really delicious. And you know, you can make these meatballs into a sandwich and put it into a roll or even into a pita. Or you can even serve them, of course, on any kind of noodle or whatever you like, because honestly, they turn out really great every time. They're really moist. They have a great texture to them. So let's give it a try. All right. And look at, see how they're dense, so they're not falling apart, but they're really quite tender too. So it's really nice. They're not like dense like the ones you get at the grocery store. Sometimes those are like little marbles, and that's not really a good way to have a meatball. It doesn't taste very appetizing. So let's try it. Okay, so I like the consistency of it. It's tender but yet firm, so they don't fall apart when you put them into sauce. And also a tip, if you're going to go ahead and heat up your sauce, of course, when you're making spaghetti, and you've got a little extra because our recipe makes a little extra, as you're heating it up, put the meatballs in. Let's say you freeze them, because you can totally freeze these. Put them in the sauce for at least 20 minutes. Let them sit there so it absorbs some of the sauce flavor too into your meatball. And it's a great complement for any kind of noodle that you have. So give this a try. It's a really easy recipe, and it's done in no time. 20 minutes is all it takes, and you know what's in your meatballs. So give them a try. Thanks for joining me today at Love Starts in the Kitchen. If you enjoyed this video, be sure and like it, as well as subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'd never miss an episode. And always remember to keep love in your kitchen.